Am I live? Oh, I'm not live yet. Okay. Say shalom, shalom. Welcome everybody into the house. We thank you for stopping by and being with us on tonight. We don't plan on being too long before you on tonight. We have a lot of cold to deal with where we're at right now. And we know some are at home in the warmth of their home, and we say hallelujah. If you are feeling kind of weak, a little below the weather, and a little sick, then stay home, get your rest, build up your antibodies, build up your strength, and get stronger, because we've got a long journey ahead of us. We're in a day and a time where it's really going to be important that we know how to navigate through life. If we don't know how this is going to end up, if we don't have an understanding of the times, we're not going to really know how to navigate through 2022. A lot of people had thought 2020 was bad. I'm so glad to see 2020 gone. Then 2021 comes, and we have to deal with all the tragedy and everything in 2021. Well, hold on, because 2022 is here, and having an understanding of the times will help you to navigate through some of the difficult pitfalls that lie ahead of us. And also, we've got to learn how to live our life not under the shadow of fear. We gotta get out of that shadow of fear, because He's not given us the spirit of fear. He's given us the spirit of love, power. So love is a spirit, power is a spirit, and a sound mind is a spirit. So I've got to have mental toughness. I've got to come out of the shadow of fear, because fear has torment. Fear will torment you. You can rise up in the morning and be in a state of fear all the day long till you go to bed at night. That's not going to help you. That's not going to help you to get through this day and this time. There's some things that we just have to accept. There's some things that we just have to realize that, this has to come to pass. And we just have to know that through all of this, through all of it, He is there to help us and to see us through, and that He gave us His word that He would never leave us nor forsake us, but He will be with us always, even unto the end of the world. So He's going to be with us to the end of the age. So I don't have to worry. I don't have to doubt. I don't have to question Him. I ask for an understanding. That's what I seek for every day in my prayer life, as I pray for one another, pray for you, and you pray for me. I'm seeking an understanding. I've got to have an understanding of the times, and understanding of the book, and understanding of life, because that helps me to navigate through. And I know that if He give me His spirit, and it's not the spirit of fear, then there's just things that we just have to look at and realize, okay, well, this is life. This is what it is, He's not going to put on me more than I'm able to bear. I can make it through with what I have. And at the same time, we can't be foolish. I'm not telling anybody to be foolish and tempt the Most High. We shouldn't be out here trying to tempt Him and say, I believe He's going to do all this and that, and we're foolish. We're not protecting ourselves. We're not putting the right things into our body. It's important for us to put the right things in our body, to keep our immune system up, to keep our body fresh, to keep our body new, to keep our body to where it's able to fight against a lot of things that are out there, because they're not going away. It's just not going away. So we have to do everything that we can, do. And whether you are, even if you're vaccinated, you're double vaxxed, you're boosted, you still have to put the right things in your body. You still have to eat right. You still have to Get the vitamin C, get the vitamin D, put zinc in your body, D3, vitamin B plus, and I always put a little baking soda in my water to control my pH balance in my body, and drink alkaline water because the better alkaline your body is, the better it is to fight against. It builds up your immune system. You're able to fight against some of the things that are out there. So I'm not going to be foolish. I've got the spirit of a sound mind, so I know how to navigate as we go through here. So tonight I don't want to be before you too long. I want to make this as fast as possible, as fast as I can, because there's a lot of ground we're going to cover tonight, but I want to cover it real quick, and then I'm just going to sit on down. But I want to start off, I want to go to St. Luke 17 and verse 34 is where we're going to start tonight. And this whole class is going to be a short class, but this whole class, I want to show tonight the danger in regurgitating things that has been handed down from generation to generation without any critical study, without critically studying the Bible, looking at the Word, really doing your research, but just taking what was the previous generation said this. Well, where'd they get it from? Well, from the previous generation. Where'd they get it from? And you just keep going back from generation to generations, but nobody's done any critical study or research. So when you look at Luke 17 and verse 34. And Brother Zeke, we're in the King James, but we might have to bounce back between King James and the English Standard Version on tonight, Brother Nathan, as we go through this. And I don't have a pointer. I need to get me a pointer. One day I will. But it says here in Luke 17:34, he says, "I tell you, in that night there shall be two in one bed. The one shall be taken and the other shall be left. Two shall be grinding together, the one shall be taken and the other left. Two shall be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left." And they answered and said unto him, these are his disciples, answered and said unto him, "Where, Adonai? Where are you taking these people?" And he said unto them, "Wheresoever the body is, thither will the eagles be gathered together." Now, just looking at that on face value and what we've been taught down through the years, we've been told that this is dealing with the rapture. And what you want to do is you want to be the ones who is taken and not the one that's left. And that's how it's been taught to us. But one thing about his word, and Brother Nathan, if you could put up Proverbs 25 and verse number 2. Let's look at Proverbs 25 and 2. Proverbs 25 and 2. What does it say? "It is the glory of Elohim to what? Conceal a thing." It's the glory of Elohim to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to do what? Search it out. So the honor of kings will search out a matter. Because I know within the word, there's things that are concealed in this writing, in this book. You can't just read this book at face value and think that you have it all. And you can't read it, especially when you get to prophecy and the New Testament, to get there and to think that it's done chronically. That's not how he did it. Even the compiling of the books were compiled by a nation that he did not give it to. Even the translation of the book is translated by a nation that he did not give it to. So in my study and in my research, I have that as a foundation. I understand that that's a foundation. And so I have to start to critically look at the Bible, look at the teaching, look at the word, and go from there. So he conceals a thing in his word. Now, going back to Luke 17 and 34, if we go back there and we see that, upon face value, when you look at that, we always think that he's dealing with the rapture. That's how we see that. But he explains this, what our Messiah said right here from verse 34, I tell you, in that night, there shall be two, one taken, one left. There'll be two, one taken, one left. The one taken and the one left will perish. The one taken and the one left perishes. This right here, what our Messiah is dealing with here, has nothing to do with the gathering, has nothing to do with that at all. So the prophet explains this in detail. And that's where we're going to go tonight. We're going to see this explained in detail by the prophet. So let's go to Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel, Yechazakal. Yechazakal, chapter 38 and verse number 14. We're going to start verse 14. Yechazakal, Ezekiel 38:14. Listen to what he says. Now we're going to read down through the end of this. Now, the way the book is compiled, you go down through verse, you read through chapter 38, you go down to the end of the verse, and then you go, okay, some people stop right there. But if you know how the scrolls were written, it just kept writing. The writings just kept going on and on and on. So there was no chapter, there was no verse. They would just compile. When the word of the Most High came to the prophet, he would speak and the scribes would write down what he was speaking. When he got done speaking, they stopped writing. They waited till the next time he spoke, and then they would pick up and write where he left off at. So here he says, therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus saith Adon Yahuwah, in that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shall they not know it? So as we go through here, we're going to have to identify some people as we go through this. But he says, Yasharal, Israel, don't you know they're going to dwell safely? Now, how do you think they're going to dwell safely? They're going to dwell safely because of how the Most High is going to watch over, and we're going to see that. So, and thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. And thou shalt come up against my people of Yasharal. Now, he's prophesying against Gog and Magog, and you're going to see the rest of that as we go on, and those other nations. He's prophesying against them, and he's saying, you're going to come up against Yasharal. You're going to come up to them, a mighty army. You're coming up against my people. Notice what he says here, as a cloud to cover the land. So when you look out over the land, all you're going to see as far as your eye can see. I mean, we're talking, we'll read it. He talks about how you cover the land. It shall be in the latter days. So we're talking about at the end time, the latter days. It wasn't in Yechazakal's day. It wasn't in Ezekiel's day. It wasn't in our Messiah's day, because he picked up on it as we was reading in Luke. What our Messiah did was just kind of, let me throw you some chicken seed. Let me just throw you something out there. I'm going to see if you guys can pick it up. Because they even asked him, Adonai, where are they going? So it's all explained here. Instead of telling them everything, instead of telling them, go back to Yechazakal and read it, he just gives them a little bit of it. And when they ask him where it is, we'll see where we end up here. In the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. Now, we're at verse 17. We're going to see who Gog, Magog, and some of these other ones, who they are. So you have to go to Genesis chapter 10 and verse number 2. Let's go to Genesis chapter 10, verse number 2. We're going to come back to verse 17. Genesis 10 and 2, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Yavon, Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. Okay, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Ripha, and Togarmah. Okay, that's all we need. So he's dealing with all of these people coming out of, if you look at verse number 2, coming out of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, Tubal and Meshach. You're going to see that later. Let's go back to Yakazakal, Ezekiel 38. I think we left off in verse number 17. Let's look at that. 38:17. Thus saith the Adon Yahuwah, art thou he of whom I have spoken in old time by my servants, the prophets of Yasharal, which prophesied in those days, many years, that I would bring thee against them? So it had been prophesied that the sons of Japheth, Gog, Magog, Tubal, Meshach, is going to come against Yasharal. We're going to see how it finalizes towards the end. And it shall come to pass at the same time when Gog shall come against the land of Yasharal, saith the Adon Yahuwah, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Yasharal. Listen to what he's going to do in that day. Verse number 20. So that the fishes of the sea and the fowls of the heaven and the beasts of the field and all the creeping things that creep upon the earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence. And the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. All of this is going to happen at his presence. Now, notice when we first started this, he says, don't you know Yasharal is going to dwell safely? Didn't he say that? He says, now you know Yasharal is going to dwell safely, right? Okay, because he's just letting us know, even though all of this is coming. No, let's keep reading here. You're going to see what happens. Verse number 21. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith the Adon Yahuwah. Every man's sword shall be against his brother. This isn't talking about in Yasharal. This is talking about in that camp that he says it covered the land like what? A cloud. It covered the land like a cloud. You're going to see how massive and how big all of the people that came against Israel, you're going to see it. And I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him, an overflowing rain and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. Hailstones, fire and brimstone. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Everybody's going to know. Everybody don't know today, but in the latter times towards the end here, everybody's going to know. Everybody today doesn't know who Israel is. But when he gathers Israel and the world starts to know who Israel is, then all of these nations, they're going to come up against Israel. They're going to cover the land like a cloud. Notice, we're not done here. Let's go to chapter 39, verse number 1. Let's pick it up there. Yakazakal 39 and 1. Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against Gog and say, thus saith the Adon Yahuwah, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Now, we've seen that, right? We went to Genesis to find out who they were. So these are all these nations that came out of Japheth. And I would turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, what? and will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Yasharal. Now, notice what he said. How many did he leave? He left a sixth part. Now, 1 out of 6 or a sixth part. Now, a fifth would be like 20 out of 100. A sixth would be like 16 out of 100. They're about a little over 6, about 16 out of 100 would be a sixth. That's what he left behind. Just remember that. That's what he left behind. We're going to see how great these numbers are. A sixth part of thee, and will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Yasharal. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thy arrows to fall out of thy right hand. So the armory, or the arms that they're carrying in their left and their right hand, he's going to smite them out. He also said that they was going to turn against one another. So we're talking about, just keep in mind now how huge this army is. We're talking about a great slaughter here. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thine arrows to fall out of thy right hand. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Yasharal, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee. I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. Okay, let's go up. Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken, saith the Adon Yahuwah. And I will send a fire on Magog. So you got Gog, you got Magog, you got Masach, and you got Tubal. And among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, or in the islands, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. All of these nations are going to know who he is. There's a day coming where Yasharal is going to know who he is. Right now, they don't want you to know who he is. They don't want you to call on his name. They want you to be, the reason why they want you to be ignorant is because they know the power. They know the power that is there. The ones who don't know the power is us. We don't know the power. So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Yasharal, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahuwah, the Holy One in Yasharal. He's not going to let Yasharal forget his name, take advantage of his name, because now isn't that in the top 10? It's in the top 10 commandments. You know, don't take my name in vain. He says they're not going to pollute my name anymore. He's talking about Yasharal. Then all of the heathen, all the other nations, they're going to know my name is Yahuwah. I'm the Holy One in Yasharal. Behold, it is come, and it is done, saith the Adon Yahuwah. This is the day whereof I have spoken. And they that dwell in the cities of Yasharal shall go forth and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers and the bows and the arrows and the handstaves and the spears, handstaves and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire. How many years? So they're going to take all of the armory, all that this great mass of people had. Now it says they were a cloud that covered what? They covered the whole land. You can look out and that's all you could see. All you could see was these mighty men, these people who came to war against a small nation, a small people of Yasharal. All these people came. He says, you guys are going to set fire to all of their armory, everything that they had, and you'll be able to use that as a fire and burn for 7 years. You know how much they're going to have to burn to where it lasts 7 years? Now that's a lot that they're going to get out of that field. I mean, it's the whole land, but we're not done yet. so that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down out of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them, saith the Adon Yahuwah. Now, a lot of people think, well, we don't even have that type of warfare anymore. We're not using that type of warfare. You're going to find out when this is going to be. You're going to find out. We have to, there's a lot of things that we have to go through before we get here. But for people to think, what I'm trying to do is just show you what our Mashiach, Yahushua Mashiach, I want to show you what he was talking about in Luke 17. He was not dealing with the gathering, what they call the rapture. Luke 17:34 through the end of the chapter is not talking about the rapture. Yes. We're getting there. We're getting there. Yes, we're getting there. Verse number 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto Gog a place there of graves in Yasharal, the valley of the passengers. Now, in order to find out who the passengers of the east are, of the sea, let's go to the ESV, Brother Nathan. If we could go to the ESV and verse number 11 in the ESV here. Scroll up to verse number 11. On that day, I will give to Gog a place for burial in Israel, the valley of the travelers, east of the sea. It will block the travelers, for there Gog and all his multitude will be buried. It will be called the valley of Hamon Gog, or the burial place of Gog. They're going to stop people from going through this part of the land, especially those coming from the east. Now, we're not talking about here in the United States at all. We're talking about in a land way over on the other side of the sea when he brings Yasharal back over into the land. And so all of the travelers that's coming from the east, they're going to block them. Hey, you can't come through here. They're not going to be, once you start to see what's going on, they won't be able to go through for a while. Notice what he says. For 7 months, the house of Yasharal will be burying them in order to cleanse the land. So who are they burying? They're burying all those who were left behind. See, when he says one was taken and the other left, they asked him, where are you taking them? We're going to see where that is. But the ones who were left, this is their fate. This is their fate. And all the people of the land will bury them, and it will bring them renown on that day that I show my glory, declares the Adon Yahuwah. So how long is it going to take them to bury these people? 7 months. They're going to stop traffic. They're going to stop people from traveling to there. For 7 months, they're going to be burying those who were left behind. Yes. Yes. Yes, this is a future event. Yeah. Yeah, this is a future event. We're talking prophecy. What our Messiah said in Luke 17, the reason why I'm doing this is that what he was dealing with has nothing to do with the rapture or the gathering of Israel. Because we've been taught that, and it's been regurgitated down through the years. I don't want to be left behind. I want to be one of those that's taken. Well, the ones who were taken, we'll find out where they went. And the ones who were left behind, this is their fate. 7 months, they buried them. All the people of the land will bury them, and it will bring them renown on the day that I show my glory, declares the Adon Yahuwah. Verse number 14, they will set apart men to travel through the land regularly and bury those travelers remaining on the face of the land, so as to cleanse it. At the end of 7 months, they will make their search. So how great was an army was that? To where he said he took some of them away, but he left them remaining. Now, earlier, how many did we say he left behind? 1/6. So if he left 1/6 behind, or 16 out of 100 was left behind, and they took 7 months to bury him, that was a great, great slaughter of a great army. But he wanted all the nations to know, I want y'all to know Israel's going to be safe. I want y'all to know that. Israel's going to be safe, because if you ain't in Yasharal, you ain't safe. Because he says, my people are going to be safe. Now, he ain't done yet. And when these travel through the land and anyone sees a human bone, then he shall set up a sign by it till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Hamon-Gog, or the gravesite of Gog. So for 7 months now, they was burying all these folks that was left behind. Hallelujah. So they was burying them, and then they went through the land. They still wouldn't let people pass. That says, or the people were passing through, if they seen a bone, put a marker there. We got to call for the buriers, who are Israel, and they're going to come out and they're going to bury it, because that place is going to be the burial ground. Hamanah is also the name of the city. Thus shall they cleanse the land. As for you, son of man, thus says Adon Yahuwah, speak to the birds of every sort and to all the beasts of the field, assemble and come, gather from all around to the sacrificial feast that I am preparing for you. A great sacrificial feast on the mountains of Yasharal, and ye shall eat flesh and drink blood. Now, okay, let's leave. We're going to come back to Yekazakal 39 and 18. We're going to come back to Yekazakal 39, 18. Let's go back to Luke, and let's go to the King James. We were in the English Standard. Let's go back to the King James. Luke 17, verse number, was it 37? Let's look at Luke 17, 37. Notice now, and they answered him, they answered and said unto him, where Adonai? And he said unto them, wheresoever the body, thither will the eagles be gathered together. So they were asking him, where are you taking these ones? The ones that are being snatched away, where are you taking them? Well, he says, where the eagles. Now, he could have told them, go back to your Kazakh and read it. But he says, I'm going to let you guys, it's the glory of my Father to conceal it. So all I'm going to say is, where the eagles are gathered together, where those birds are gathered together unto the great feast, because we're going to see that in Revelation 19:7. We're going to go to Revelation 19, but not yet. But let's go back to your Kazakh. We were at chapter 39 and verse 18. Ye shall eat the flesh. Listen. Ye shall eat the flesh of the what? The mighty, and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of rams, of lambs, and of goats, of bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan. And ye shall eat fat till ye be full, and drink blood till ye be drunken of my sacrifice, which I have sacrificed for you. Now, who's he talking to? Oh, let's go back up. You guys missed it. Let's go back up. Go back up here in Ezekiel, your Kazakal. Verse number, and thou, son of man, thus saith the Adon Yahuwah, speak unto every feathered fowl. Remember, Yahusha says where the eagles are gathered together, right? He said that's where you're going to find them. So he says, every feathered fowl and every beast of the field, assemble, all of y'all. I got a feast for you. So what are they going to be feasting on? Ye shall eat the flesh of mighty and drink the blood of princes of the earth, of rams, of lambs, and of goats, of bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan, and ye shall eat fat till ye be full, and drink blood till ye be drunken of my sacrifice, which I have sacrificed for you. So he's feeding the fowls of the, okay, you'll get it, you'll get it. You'll get it after a while. Huh? Sister, what you say? Yeah. Yeah, he's going to gather them all. He says, hey, feast, feast. These are the ones that he snatched away, where the disciple says, where are they going? Thus ye shall be filled at my table with horses and chariots, with mighty men, and with all men of war, saith the Adon Yahuwah. And I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed, and my hand that I have laid upon them. So the house of Yasharal shall know that I am Yahuwah their Elohim. From that day and forward, and the heathen shall know that the house of Yasharal went into captivity for their iniquity, because they have trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword, according to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. So all of this, everything that he's doing, even now, because a lot of people, this is why if you don't do no critical study, all you're going to do is regurgitate. You're going to regurgitate things that have been handed down from one generation to another. And where did they get it? Because somebody told them. Where did they get it? Because somebody told them. Let's go back to Luke 17, 34. Okay. And I tell you, in that night, there shall be two in one bed. The one shall be taken and the other shall be left. They have filled the land like a cloud. They were all, as far as the eye can see, a great multitude army. But what were they doing there? They were there because they was coming up against Yasharal. They were coming up against Israel. That's what he's talking about here. Two shall be grinded together. The one shall be taken, the other left. Two shall be in the field. The one shall be taken, the other left. And they answered and said unto him, where, Adonai, where are you taking them? And he said unto them, wheresoever the body, thither will the eagles be gathered together. Now, let's go to Revelations 19 and 17. Revelations 19, 17. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come, gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Elohim. Yeah, this is it. This is the whole story. This is what he's dealing with. That ye may eat the flesh, watch it now, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. So what he's dealing with there is, instead of telling you to go to Yakazakal and to just get all of this in detail, I'm just going to tell you, out of that great mass of people that's going to mass the land, one's going to be taken, one's left. In fact, he said he's going to take more. When you look at the 16, I'm taking more than what I'm going to leave. But even with the ones that he leaves, how long does it take him to bury those that he left? 7 months. So that was a lot of people they had left. So when Yahusha said one would be taken, the other one left. Now, in our minds, and the way we're talking, I want to be taken. Then somebody said, well, I want to be left. It's neither one of them, because whether you're taken or left, you're going to perish. That's what he's doing. The ones who were taken were of the sacrifice of the great Elohim. And he sacrificed the ones that were taken, he's sacrificing them and giving them to the birds of the weather and some of the beasts. They're going to come down, they're going to eat all of the flesh of kings and the flesh of captains and the flesh of mighty men and the flesh of horses and them that sit on them and the flesh of all the men, both free and bond, the flesh of all free and bond, both small and great. That's where that gathering is going to be that he was talking about. So what about those who were left then? That's what happens to those who were taken. But those who were left, were they alive? The ones that were left, were they alive? The ones that were left, were they alive? Right. But what happened to the ones that were left? Let's go back to Yakazakal 39 and let's look at let's start at verse like 14. Let's see. Let's see. And they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it after the end of 7 months shall they search. So what happens to those who are left behind? The ones that he took, he fed. That was the great sacrifice. The ones that were left were buried. They were the ones that were buried. It took 7 months to bury them. So whether you're taken or left, they perished. You don't see it?
So it was coming up against Israel too?
Ooh.
No. The ones in Luke, they weren't coming up against Israel.
No, what he said in Luke, he was dealing with what's going on in Yakazakal, what Yakazakal prophesied about. You can't look at it like I'm going to snatch away and rapture one and I'm going to leave the other one behind. You got to get that out of your mind. That does not exist. He's not dealing with that. When he said that in Luke, I'm not dealing with that. We're conditioned and we're conditioned that this is what this means. And that's not what it means. What Yahusha was talking about in Luke 17, it is explained in great detail in Ezekiel. You cannot build a doctrine without Torah, the law, or the prophets. Anybody that wants to take something out of Shaul's teachings or Peter's or Kepha or the Gospels without Torah and prophets, you can't build a doctrine like that. You just can't do it. And that's what has been done all this time. So when anybody reads Luke 17 at the end of the chapter, what are they thinking? Take me, take me. You don't even know what he's talking about because we've never done any critical research on studying of the prophets. What he's talking about in Luke 17, it's explained in Yekazakal or Ezekiel 38 and 39. That's what he's talking about. So out of this mass of people where it says, when you looked out there, it was like a cloud that what? Covered the ground. He says they're going to actually put their armor on each other and kill each other. He says, 2 will be sleeping. I'm going to take one. I'm going to leave the other one. Two women will be at the mill grind. I'm going to take one and leave the other one. 2 will be in the field. I'm going to take one and leave the other one. The way we're taught and trained is, I want to be the one taken. If you're the one taken, first off, you don't want to be in Gog or Magog. Huh? Yeah, the sons of Japheth. You don't even want to be with them. You don't want to be with the sons of Japheth, Gog, Magog, Masak, and Tubal. Didn't we read that in Yekazakal 38, 39? It's Gog and Magog. So when he's dealing with Gog and Magog, he's dealing with the judgment that's in the future. We're dealing with judgment in the future. And so out of this great mass of people, one he's going to take, he's going to leave another. In fact, it says he's going to actually take more than what he leaves behind. Because he says a 6th is going to be left. Rest of them, I'm snatching all of them. But first you have to realize the first thing that we read, let's go to Yekazakal 38:14. Ezekiel 38:14. Let's go there first. Notice what he says here. Now, 38:14. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus saith the Adon Yahuwah, in that day when my people of Yasharal dwelleth safely, shalt thou know, or shall you not know? So what is he saying? Don't you know my people Yasharal are going to dwell safely? You got the nerve and the gall to come up against my people? What he's saying is Israel's going to dwell safely. When I gather Israel and I take them back to their land, don't you know they're going to dwell safely? You got the nerve to come up against them. That's what he's saying here. Let's read it again. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus saith the Adon Yahuwah, in that day when my people of Yasharal dwelleth safely, shall thou not know? He's asking a question. So what's the question he's asking them? Don't you know Israel's going to dwell safely? But you got the nerve to come up against them? And not only do you got the nerve to come up against them, but he says, you're going to cover the whole land like a cloud. Let's scroll up a little bit. Let's see where does it say that? There it is, verse 16. And thou shalt come up against my people of Yasharal as a cloud to cover the land. Now, that might not mean anything until you start seeing how long they'll be able to burn all their weapons. All the weapons and everything they confiscate and they build how long will that fire burn? 7 years. Now, everybody that was left behind, because there was a 6th that was left behind. Of the 6 that were left behind, how long did it take them to bury them in Hamagog, or the burial ground of Gog? How long did it take them to bury them? 7 months. So that was a lot of people that was left there. Even to the point where, because they block off the passengers, the people from going through, hey, you can't go through here. We're burying all these people. This was a great slaughter. Don't y'all see all these dead bodies? I mean, this is a great slaughter. It takes them 7 months to bury all their dead. And then when they start to allow passengers to go through, if somebody sees a bone, what do? They put up a flag, put up a marker, say, here's a bone. Oh, stop here. Call Yasharal, the barriers in Yasharal. We found a bone here, and they'll come out and they'll bury that bone because that's the burial ground of them. That's where all those people who are left, that's what happens to them. So what Yahushua is dealing with in Luke 17 is not dealing with the gathering of Yasharal at all. He's telling you what's going to happen at the end. The disciple says, wait a minute, where are you taking them? Where are you taking them? He could have easily told him, he said, no, I'm not. Where the eagles gather. So now you got to go back and search. What is he talking about? When these eagles and these vultures, when he gathers them together, what is he talking about? And then we pick it up in Revelation. Let's go back to Revelation 19 and 17. Let's look at Revelation 19, 17. Verse 17. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying, to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Elohim. Now let's go back to Yekazakal 39. 39 and verse number, let's go up to about verse number 20. Let's go up 19, 18. Okay, there it is, 17. Now, didn't we just read that in Revelation? Let's see what he says here. And thou, son of man, thus saith the Adon Yahuwah, speak unto every feathered fowl and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come, gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice, that I do sacrifice for you a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Yasharal, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. This is what he's talking about in Revelation. This is that gathering. So if anybody is comparing themselves to Luke 17, 34 through 37, what you're saying is you're in Gog and Magog. You're going to be judged with Gog and Magog, because Gog and Magog is going to assemble themselves together, a great army, to come up against Yasharal. It's almost like the host of the earth, not all the earth, but almost the host of the earth is going to come up against Yasharal. And remember what he said in we don't have to go there, but in Yekazakal 38 and 14, didn't he say, don't you know Israel's going to dwell safely? You got the nerve to come up against them. So they had the nerve to come up against them, so he brings judgment. Now, his way of doing things is not how we would do it. Because from our understanding, we would think that's kind of, to have a slaughter like that, that's really not fair. That's really not fair, yes.
So when they say that Satan is loose for a season, and he calls the people to fight with him, now where are all those people?
Well, let's go back to Revelation 19, and let's look at verse 19. Revelation is 19:19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Now, this is dealing with when, after we have the 1,000 years of peace, then that's when you're going to have this great army amassed and comes against Yasharal. They're going to assemble. They think that they can beat Yasharal. Actually, this is me, but because that spirit of jealousy never leaves them. See, people are jealous right now of who Israel is. People don't know who. There's a lot of people don't. We're living in a day where Israel don't know that they're Israel, but Gentiles think they're Israel. That's the day that we're living in. So when it's revealed, when he starts to gather his people from one end, from the four corners, one end of heaven, and he builds a refuge around them and he keeps them, once the world finds out who Israel is, oh, they're going to be hot. They're going to be hot as fish grease. I mean, they're going to be hot. Those people? How dare you? I mean, the hatred for those people. And then to find out that that's who Israel is. Oh, the world's going to be flipped. They're going to be upside. He's going to come and set up 1,000 years of peace. That's not going to take out that jealousy and that hatred for Israel. Those nations, even though they received his mark, at the end of that 1,000 years, when they know that 1,000 years is up, we're coming up against Israel. We're coming strong. I mean, they come, Gog and Magog, they come strong. Japheth comes strong. And he says, don't you know Israel's going to dwell safely? Well, you think I'm going to let you overcome Israel? And then that's where you're going to have this great slaughter. It's going to be a slaughter. It's going to be a war that at a time that the world has never seen before.
And that's also proof that there's no end of man. Like he said, that there'll still be people, even though there'll still be people reprobating.
Right. There's still going to be procreation going on. There is, because the world is there's still going to be people here on the world. Now, where we presently are now, this world has to be here another 1,000 years, because when he returns, he's setting up his kingdom here on earth. He says, we pray that prayer, thy will be done in earth as it is in. So when he comes, he's setting up his kingdom here. And you've heard him say before, he's going to be a benevolent dictator for 1,000 years. Everybody's going to keep the Sabbath. Everybody's going to keep the feast. All these other nations, I don't want to keep the feast. I ain't keeping the feast. Okay. Well, we know what's going to happen to those who don't keep the feast, right? It talks about it in Zechariah. Oh, you don't want to keep my feast? Oh, okay. It says their flesh is going to melt. They're just going to have a total meltdown. I'm not keeping the Sabbath. No. Come and keep the Sabbath. I want you to see those who transgress against me, who don't want to keep the Sabbath. I'm going to show you. So he's going to be a benevolent dictator. He's going to be over the whole world. His kingdom is going to reign on the earth for 1,000 years. After that 1,000 years of peace, then the devil, or Satan, is going to gather all those people that still had his mark, the ones who still had the mark of the beast, the ones who, and to me, now this is me from studying Torah, and I'm not saying I'm correct, because, and the reason why I say that is because you got Torah in Hebrew, then you got Revelations that's written in Greek, and you got people who take over at the end of the world that's different than the Hebrew Israelites. And what was marked upon him. Now, a couple of classes ago, I told you about those who were marked. And the ones who were marked, they were spared. Now, what was the mark on those? Remember that class I taught? The inkhorn and, It was in Ezekiel, it was in Yekazakal, the 8th chapter, 8th and 9th chapter, because they run together. They cried against the abomination. He says, let me show you what these people are doing in my temple. In my temple. One of them was they was crying for Tammuz. Another one, remember I was teaching that? Another one, they was worshiping the sun. They turned their face and they was worshiping the sun. They were sun worshipers. he says, mark everybody that cried out against those abominations. Now, the ones who didn't get marked, what happened to them? They were destroyed. So the ones who were marked were those who cried out against the abomination. It also talks about I really don't want to go into it, but in Deuteronomy and Exodus, it talks about those who were to take the mark, and the mark on them was what? They were supposed to have his word where? In their forehead. So his word was supposed to be in their forehead. Now, was that a physical mark? And he said, it shall be in your hand. Was it a physical mark? It wasn't a physical mark. It was just that your hands represent your what? Your work or your action or your work. The work of your hands. The work of your hands. Then what was on the forehead was actually that this word, I've got to hide it in my heart. It's got to be in my mind. That's why he told him to put tzitzits on or tassels on, because I think it's the 15th chapter of Numbers. But he said put tzitzits on because this one decided they were going to work on the Shabbat. And so Moshe said, what should we do with this one? Let's just hold him. We'll see what the Most High says. Moshe went to the Most High. The Most High told him to what? Stone him. Just stone him. So after they stoned him, the Most High said, put tzitzits on or tassels on. And what that was the word, the 10 Commandments, so that if you thought about breaking it, all you had to do was look at it. You had those tzitzits on that had the scripture. Oh, I don't want to do that. But do we have to wear tzitzits now to remember his word? No, that should be on my forehead. It should be a mark on my forehead. Not a physical one, but a mark on my forehead. So to me, as a Hebrew Israelite and looking at what it's taught in Yasharah, it was not a physical mark like we think. It was more your works, your actions, and what's on your mind, Now, so are you saying the mark is good? That's how he marked Israel. Now, in Revelation, now we're not dealing with Israelites. We're dealing with another nation now that wants to put their mark. See, one thing about Satan, he tries to duplicate and do whatever the Most High does. Remember the reason why he got kicked out of the Shamayim? Because he says, I will be like the Most High. He said, no, you ain't. You getting the boot. Yahusha said, I see them fall like lightning. As soon as he said, I'll be like the Most High, you got to go. So he's always tried to duplicate. So what the Most High has done as far as marking his people, now what Satan, now he might physically put a mark on you. I'm not saying he's not. He might physically put a mark. Whatever it is, I don't care. I ain't taking it. I'm not going to, In fact, from my understanding, the ones who are not gathered with Yasharah, when he gathers them from the four corners, from the four winds, and he gathers his people and he puts them in a place of refuge, those who don't make that place of refuge and gather with Israel, they're going to have to receive the mark. And if you don't, so the important thing is we got to, and I don't think it's going to be too much longer, because the way things are shaping up, and we think this is United States. It's not United States, it's the divided states of America. This government is coming down. Just watch and see. Here's another year in the election year. A lot of stuff going on. Don't put your trust. He told, yeah, thank you. Jeremiah 17 and verse number 5. Thus saith Yahuwah, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh what? Flesh his arm. You trusted in their military. You trusted in their military might. You're trusting in man. We got the greatest military. I don't care. This nation's going to go down. I'm not going to be cursed. Whose heart departeth from Yahuwah, for he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, a salt land, and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusteth in Yahuwah, and whose hope Yahuwah is. So if I put my trust in man and in their military, I'm cursed. I'm cursed. I'm putting my trust in the Most High. That's who I'm trusting. And I plan on being gathered when he comes to gather his people. I plan on getting out of here. I don't plan on staying here. I'm going to stay here where it's safe. We'll stay here. Because when he gathers his people, he ain't going to let nothing happen to his people. Once he gathers them, he ain't going to let nothing happen to them. Those who are born of water and spirit, what do they get? Those who are born of water and spirit, what do they get? They get eternal life. We get eternal life. So when we see him, we're going to be what? Like him. We're going to see him as he is. We're going to see him. Because in order for me to reign with him 1,000 years and then reign with him forever, I have to have a different body. I can't have, this body is not built for eternity because it's made after Adam. And that body is not built for eternity because he transgressed. So that's why Shaul says there's another body waiting for me in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, I think it is. He says, there's another body waiting for me. It's up in the heavens. I can't. He says, I feel naked without it. You better read that. He said, I feel naked. I can't wait to be clothed with that body because that body will not die like this body. So this body has to go through a transformation. But the only way that you can go through that transformation now is you have to be born of the water and spirit to go through that transformation. But does that mean there's not going to be any people on earth? No, there's going to be people on earth. There's going to be people who are going to procreate because he already made a promise unto Abraham, because we have to get to those promises and let's put Romans 15:8. Let's put Romans 15:8 up there. We have to get to those promises. You know, this is one of our foundational scriptures. Now I say that Yahushua Mashiach was a minister of the circumcision for the truth of Elohim to do what? To confirm the promises made unto the fathers. So we got to go see what those promises were. He came to confirm those promises, not doing away with them. He's not doing away. What he promised Abraham, he ain't doing away with that. What he promised Yishak, Jacob, he's not doing away with that. In fact, when you see Genesis 49, we don't have to go there, but Genesis 49, he says that's in the last days. In the last days, you're going to see all the sons of Jacob, and this is going to be their inheritance and all that. We better look at that again. So we still got to get to those promises that he promised Abraham, Yishak, and Jacob. We got to get to those promises. But we're not there yet. We're moving up there because, like it says in Yahuchanan 4:22, John 4:22, Yahuchanan 4:22. Like it says here, ye worship, you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation or deliverance or rescue is of the Jews or the Yahudim. That's where the rescue is going to be. If you want to be rescued, if you want to be delivered, you got to get with the Yahudim. You got to get with you got to get with Yasharal if you want to be rescued. So Romans 11:25, what does that say? For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Yasharal until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And so all Yasharal shall be saved. So if you want to be saved or rescued, because that's what soteria means. Soteria means to be delivered. It means to be rescued. It means to be made whole. It means health. That's what soteria means. So if you want to be rescued, you got to be with those who are going to be rescued. You don't hear that a lot in church. I'm done. I think I'm going to be done I'm done right now, but I don't know if there's any other questions out there or anything like that. But so let's go back to Luke 17:34. Let's go back to Luke 17:34. That's where we started. So when you read this, I tell you, in that night there shall be two in one bed. The one shall be taken, the other one left. Two grinding at the mill, one will be taken, the other left. Two in the field, one will be taken, the other one left. When you read that, teachers and preachers and scholars, you need to go back to Ezekiel or Yekazakal 38 and 39. It explains it in detail, what he's talking about here. So, yes.
It would have helped if Jesus would have mentioned God.
But what does Proverbs 25:2 say? It's the glory of Elohim to do what? To conceal it. My glory is to conceal it. Your glory is to search it out, or your honor. So I know in this book there's things that are concealed. I can't just take it at face value. I look at it at face value. Now I got to dig deeper. Especially when you're dealing with prophecy. Anytime our Messiah prophesied, it's written in the prophets. All that he prophesied about the future is written in the prophets. Because he says, I didn't come to destroy it. Now, I'll say things that'll cause you to research. I'm going to say stuff that's going to make you think. But do your due diligence and do the research. Because everything that's written in the prophets is going to come to pass. So when people tell you, I don't know why you reading the prophets, stay away from the prophets, you don't need the prophets. Wait a minute, time out. Things that are written in the prophets haven't even come to pass. Not everything. There's some things that has come to pass, but not everything that has come to pass. So I can't take anything that Shaul taught in his letters and not build on that with prophets and Torah. That's illegal. Yes. Yeah. Romans 15 and 4. Romans 15 and 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for what? Everything that was written by Moses and all the prophets. David, King Daud, written by him. King Solomon, everything that was written by them was written for our learning. All the judges, Joshua, all of that. The kings, all of that was written for our learning. So So when I want to learn something, I got to go back to everything that was written before Paul wrote. If I want to learn something. I can't take what Paul wrote epistles or letters to churches or to assemblies. When he wrote this book here, history tells us it was about 66 AD, right before he died. He died before the fall of Jerusalem. So what he's writing here in Romans, he's saying, hey, you guys better go back. Everything that's written back then, that's for us to learn. And then in verse 8, he tells us, Yahusha came to confirm all that. So for our learning, let's stay up there, verse 4. For our learning, that we through patience and comfort. Now, patience means I got to endure. I got to wait on this. Sometimes I read things in the prophets, I have to read it maybe 10 times before he actually, okay. Now I see it. Now I get it. So it takes some patience. I got to wait. and then in my study, and I know that everything is written there, I've got to be as patient as they were. Because it talks about that in Hebrews 11th chapter. It says some of them folks, the world wasn't even worthy of them. And what they had to endure, some of the things they have to endure. So I might have to endure great affliction of the flesh, but I'm learning. Through patience, I'm enduring. Comfort. It should bring some comfort to me. I was reading Yekazakar or Ezekiel, and I don't know how many times I read it, and I never seen it. It's not that I haven't read it. I've read it. I'm reading through the Bible again. I've read. It's like, man, this is what he was talking about. I've never seen it before. But you can't build doctrine off of one verse. Everything that you pull out of what we call the New Testament must be supported in the Old. Must be supported in the Old. Yes.
Question. It says, so what's going to happen in Ezekiel is not going to happen until Jesus Christ be revealed, as St. Luke 17:30?
Yeah, after he's revealed. Yeah. Because it says that. When the Son of Man is manifested. So when he returns, people are going to, first, when they see him, all the tribes of the earth, everybody's going to mourn. Because when they see him, he don't look like Cesare Borgia. He don't look like that. Not even close. So people are going, oh, we done messed up. We done messed up. But you have some people that's not going to repent. And you have some people that's going to be jealous. Those can't be your people. I hate them people. They can't be your people. And so they're going to be plotting against Yahshua. But see, when he protects them and has a place of refuge for them, even after 1,000 years of peace, he's going to tell Magog, don't you know I'm going to keep Israel safe? Why are you coming up here? Why are you coming up here on my turf? Why are you coming up here against my people? What's wrong with you? Don't you know they're going to dwell safely? And you're going to try to war against them? He says he's going to pour out his fury. I'm just going to start snatching them. Folks going to be dying. It's going to be such a great slaughter. Those who are left, it's going to take 7 months to bury them. And he's only leaving a sixth of them. The rest of them he's taken. And then he shows you all your fowls or come to my sacrifice. Yes.
So the division, the 5/6, they're going to be destroyed because they get eaten by the birds, and then the other 1/6 is being destroyed from the war.
Yeah, they're going to. Well, yeah, because Israel's not even going to have to fight them. He's going to fight. He's going to do the fighting with them, and it's mainly going to be through his word. He's going to speak it. Some of them are going to fall, like he says, they're going to fall on one another. It's just going to be such a great slaughter, and Israel don't have to do nothing but bury the dead, clean up, cleanse the land. That's all they got. We're doing the cleanup. The war is over. We're cleaning up, and it's going to take it says it takes them 7 months to bury all those people. 7 months. And then when they allow people to come through there, if you see a bone, you better mark it. Call for the cleanup people. They're going to come and they're going to bury it. Don't you mess with it. They're the ones that's going to cleanse the land. So they're going to do the burying. So the ones who were left. So when you look at what Yahusha said in the 17th chapter of Luke, the ones who were taken and the ones who were left, they both perished. They both perished. There was, yes.
Okay, so Psalms 2, that's a war taking place too in Psalms 2. Now, when did that take place?
Let's look at that. Psalms 2. Psalms chapter 2, start off at what? Verse 1? Okay. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against Yahuwah and against his anointed. Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. the Adon shall have them in derision. So this is talking about going up against his people or a nation. He's calling his nation the anointed. They're the apple of his eye. So these are the ones that are going up against his nation. Yeah. So, but now this is not going to happen. There's going to be some fighting against Israel in that last 3.5 years before he sets up his kingdom. There is going to be some fighting against Israel, and there's going to be some of Israel that'll fall, because those who don't come into the gathering, because you're going to have some of Yasharal that's going to say, hey, I got it good here. I'm not going nowhere. I got it good. When he comes to gather, it says in Revelation, he's going to make war with them, and he's going to overcome them. But he can't get to the ones that are in refuge with the Most High, with Yahusha. He can't get to them. He can't touch them.
Okay, so that's completely different from when the enemy looks like a cloud over the land. That's a different war.
That's probably a different war. Yeah. This here, they're actually, they've been doing this for a while. The kings of the earth, that one world order is to keep Israel blind, and we don't want it to be revealed to the world who Israel is. That's that one world order. All those nations are together and united against his anointed. They don't want it to, but they're not going to prevail. They're not going to prevail because it's going to be revealed. When he comes to gather them, then people are going to know, I think we messed up. I really think we messed up. See, a lot of people take this and they think they're talking about the preacher. They think they're talking about the preacher. You got preachers that are blind. They can't see. His anointed is dealing with all his people as a nation, not an individual. Not an individual. He calls his nation the apple of his eye. That's what he calls his nation. His anointed is the apple of his eye, or his entire nation. Because in Matthew 25, he's dealing with these nations and he separates them as sheep and goats. And he's going to judge them nations on how they treated his anointed. We don't have to read it now, but he says, when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I was in prison, you didn't visit me. When I was thirsty, you didn't give me nothing to drink. When I was naked, you didn't clothe me. When did we see you like that? He says, when you didn't do it to one of my brethren, the least of my brethren, you didn't do it to me. So all of those that are his brethren, when you didn't do it to his brethren, he's going to judge you on that. He's going to judge you on that. So we have to be careful. I'm closing out with this. We have to be careful that we don't just regurgitate something that's been taught to us. I taught before that you can teach revelation, but you can't give revelation. Revelation has to come from heaven. Just like Yahusha told his disciples, who do men say that I am? Some say you're Elijah. Some say you're John the Baptist resurrected. Some say that. He says, but who do you say that I am? It was Kepha that stood up and said, thou art the Mashiach, son of the living Elohim. He said, flesh and blood didn't give that to you. My Father gave it to you. So you can teach revelation. If I get a revelation, I can teach it. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. Doesn't mean you're going to get the revelation. It has to be revealed to you. Revelation can be taught, but revelation can't be given by a man. Revelation has to come from heaven, from the Shamaim. I heard something the other day. A pastor out of Philadelphia, Louisiana, Pastor Omar Tebow, and he's doing this little skit talking about people and stuff. And I heard something. I said, man, that is so true. He was talking about how everybody's not going to go with you. As a teacher, you know, as somebody that he's using, that he's not lifting up as far as, because some people want promotion of men. I'm not talking about that. But as far as knowledge, understanding, revelation, and going up to higher heights, everybody's not going to go with you, because you got some people that are afraid of heights. You got some that are afraid of heights. You got some that they're good people. They're good people. They could be very supportive. They'll do work for you and everything, but they're afraid of heights. So they're not going to go up there with you as the Most High elevates you and takes you up in His Word. Now, I'm not, because see, when you start talking about being elevated and going up, people think about, you know, more money, you know, new house, new car, new job. No. You got some people that are afraid of heights because of what they can learn, you know, getting up to that level. It was Kepha that said, "Thou art the Mashiach, the Son of the Living." It wasn't given to all the other ones. So you have some who are afraid of heights. They're not. You have some that will listen to this. I can't go with that, because there's some people that have been cornered and in a box that all they receive is regurgitated stuff. They can't see this, and if they were to see it, that's too high for me. I'm getting dizzy. I can't handle it. You got those who are afraid of heights. And so when I heard that, I'm going, man, that is, you know, because there's some things I've been teaching for a long time. It's like some people they're just not getting it. There's some things I shouldn't have to teach 10 times, 15 times. But I have to be, and then you got some who don't, because there's some people are just afraid of heights. They're not going to go up there. So, okay, you know, just work in that office where you're at, just work there. Not, you know, nothing, not being mean or evil or, you know, no big eyes, little U's, nothing like that. But I got to keep going. I mean, I want to know more. I don't want to be blinded. It's too late in the day to be blinded. I can't afford to close my eyes. I can't afford for somebody to tell me, well, you know, this organization doesn't teach that. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm not afraid of heights. I got to go. You know, if he's revealing something to me and you think I'm locked to where I can't say something, not me. I'm not like that. You know, you go somewhere else. I have to teach what he's given me. And this is what he's given me. But you got some people that are afraid of heights. And if they're afraid of heights, you don't treat them bad. You don't talk about them. They're just, you know, they're good people. But I got to keep going. So with that, I'm going to say shalom to everybody. Thank you for coming. Those who are here in the house, those who have joined us online, and we certainly appreciate each and every one of you. We say, I told somebody, stay home, stay warm, because it is cold out there. So get what you can get as we go deeper into the Word. And be prepared for what lies ahead. Be prepared, because we got to go through in 2022. We got to go through. We can't sit on our laurels and don't think we got all this wrapped up. There's still going to be some things that we have to go through. I do want to say that this on January 15th, I want to make a quick announcement. January 15th, after Shabbat class, we're going to have somebody here that's going to talk to us about insurance. I want to talk about insurance. I want to talk about preparing ourselves, and so that we can, when the inevitable hits, we're not so, it's not such a hardship. There should be some planning going on. So we're going to have somebody here that's going to talk to us about insurance, but that'll be on the 15th, January 15th, and that'll be after the Shabbat class. And y'all pray for me that I don't teach for so long on the Shabbat. I mean, this last time it was like 4 hours. I think that's too long, isn't it? About too long. 4 hours. That's about too long. Well, about 3.5 hours of teaching, and that takes a lot out of you. It wears you down. So I'm gonna try to teach, but I'm gonna get my point across, and then we'll try to answer some questions, and then if there is any commentary, just wait till I'm done. Kind of take your notes, and then wait till I'm done, and then you can add your commentary. But I try to address some questions if there are questions. Not that I know all the answers, because I don't, but if it's a question that's asked and I don't know, then give me some time. Give me some time to read it, to study, to dig into Torah and the law and the prophets, and come up with the answer. So with that, everything else, stay warm, stay healthy, keep yourself in the love of the Most High and His only begotten Son. And with that, I'm going to say shalom, shalom.